So, to round out the day, I'm pleased to introduce Nir Lempert. Said it right?
Yeah.
Nir Lempert is the CEO of Zap. Zap Group is really one of the leading publishers in the world that has really gone through a terrific transformation and is well into the next generation. And he's going to tell us about how they got there, I believe. And so, warm welcome for Nir, please. Keep thinking about your questions so that I can ask him some interesting questions. Nir, welcome.
Okay. Good afternoon. I would like to share with you this afternoon the journey that we have done in the last years from a traditional Yellow Pages company based on printed directories to a fully online mobile company, which on one end offers the consumers extra services and offer the SMBs a full online presence and services. When I joined the company in the end of 2005, I got a mission to be relevant in the digital area. The company was, as you can see, mainly print, and our mission was to be online. We decided to do it in two parallel ways. The first one is, I believe, like most of the countries or most of the companies are doing, to build an online index. We tried in 2006 to do it as advanced as possible. In 2006, we launched it with an advanced search engine, with click-to-call, with video clips, etc. It was quite challenging to train the reps, to sales reps, to sell mobile, to sell internet, and to explain the SMBs in Israel why it's so important to be online. But the results was quite good. The second channel that we chose in 2006 was verticals. We purchased and launched verticals because we understood that speaking about digital, you speak about niche markets. It's a huge opportunity to offer the consumer a deeper content, and we could see the result that if you compare the ARPA in the regular Yellow Pages site to the vertical, the ARPA is bigger, in average 3 times in the vertical than in the regular Yellow Pages site. So we purchased Zap comparison site, which is the leading price comparison site in Israel. Rest, the leading restaurant vertical. Mitchatnim. Mitchatnim is an Hebrew word for wedding, so wedding and events. Doctors for the medical world. We launched Mishpati, it's the legal world, home improvement, tourism, etc. So, in 2010, after 3 years of this policy, we were quite satisfied. Almost 70% of our revenue came from digital. But we understood that there is a problem. Dealing with Google, with Facebook, we understood the consumer wants more content. The flat index, I cannot say that it's not relevant anymore, but the flat index is not enough. The consumer would like to get more and more information. You know, when you offer the consumer too much information, he doesn't know what to do. There are a lot of research that support this theory. So we decided that we are going to offer the consumer tools in order to help him to choose the relevant choice. But before we start the new policy, we made several researches, and we realized that the consumer need or use relevant information. And the information is different from one scenario to another. If you need a plumber in order to fix a problem now, his availability is the most important element. But if you want a plumber to rebuild your bathroom, reliability is more relevant. If you need a doctor or a lawyer, what's the most important element is how expert it is. Speaking about restaurant or design, it's something emotional. Speaking about TV screen, it's value for money. So when we identify that there's different nerves, we realize that we should develop different tools to help the consumer to decide his decisions. So we re-identify our vision. We would like to empower the consumer. We as Yellow Pages company, if we are optimistic, we put the customer, the advertiser in the center. We said no. The consumer is even more important than the customer, because in the online area, he got the power. If the consumer will choose us as their tool, the customer should follow them. So we have a lot of conflicts, by the way. Imagine a restaurant, you mentioned Yelp in the other conference, in the other meeting. Imagine restaurant which pays us, I don't know, $20,000 a year. And the restaurant got a very negative reviews. We are going to support. We support the consumer. Even if the owner of the restaurant say, how come? I pay you money and you allow this something to put this garbage on my site? Yes, we said yes. And of course, we support him with research and explaining why it's so important for him, etc. And so, to empower the consumer is the first part of the new vision. The second part is the SMBs. We would like to be a one-stop shop solution agency for the SMBs in media and back office services. Again, it was mentioned before, and I would like to talk about it later. So, I think 3 years ago, I participated in this conference in Macau. And this was more or less the stage when we met. But just after I came back from Macau, we planned how to implement this new vision. The first stop was the organizational aspect. We merged all the verticals that we purchased or launched and the Yellow Pages company to one big company. And then we divided the company to 4 different divisions. You remember the different nerves that I mentioned before? More or less, these are the nerves that we divided the company. One is dealing with experts, the other dealing with products and retail, the third one with lifestyle, and the fourth with services providers. What I mean when I say divide? I mean that in each division there is a marketing guy who think, first of all, what tools he can develop for the consumer and what services we can offer in this specific niche to the customer, to the SMB. And the sales our sales reps are divided in these 4 divisions. You know, we have a specific sales force dealing with restaurant, another specific sales rep team dealing with doctors, another with lawyers, another with service providers, etc., etc. And of course, we divided to field and telesale. And the telesale center is divided to 4 groups. And in order to support these 4 divisions, there is the shared services, technology, IT, finance, HR, corporate marketing, etc., which support these 4 divisions. And we worked in this structure from March 2011. The next stage was branding. We had 2 leading brands, Golden Pages, which used to be our brand for many years, and Zap. We made again researches, etc., and we decided to choose Zap as our mega brand because Zap considered among the consumers as a young, fresh, digital and pro-consumer brand. Therefore, we decided to choose Zap as our mega brand. And the next station was the product itself. We tried to understand why Zap price comparison site is so successful. And we realized that speaking about products, for example, TV screen, Zap helps the consumer to choose which model fits for him. Because most of the consumers, most of us, we are not expert in TV screens, right? So, but on the other end, each of us have different elements which are important for him. For example, for one, the brand is important. For the second one, the size of the screen, the prices, another advanced technology, etc. So each consumer can click 2 or 3 clicks, and from 1,600 different models, it's narrowed to 1 or 2 models, and then you got consumer reviews, price comparisons, and in the end of this short process, you can decide if what you would like to buy and where. So, our challenge was to duplicate these success tools to the services arena, which is much more complicated, because when there is a model, it's very easy to compare. But services, how can I compare one plumber to another plumber, one lawyer to another lawyer? And the next everyone is the best. How could I choose? Thank you. So we duplicate the concept in our main Yellow Pages site and in the vertical itself. Now, I must tell you, we launched this site in March 2012, 18 months ago. We see every month the traffic is going up. Every month, more and more consumers use our price list. They find it very helpful. More and more users use the expert forums. We duplicate, by the way, the expert forums from our site doctors. In our site doctors, which is verticals, there are almost 1,000 different forums managed by specific specialist doctors. By the way, these experts are paying us a monthly fee for the privilege working for us, right? It's another interesting source of revenue. So we duplicate this idea from doctors to the services. There is an expert in plumbers. There is an expert, of course, among a lot of lawyers. So we find it more and more popular. More than 50% of the consumer use at least 2 or 3 different tags from the purchase criteria. So we consider it as a huge success, and the results since March 2012, 80% growth in our traffic. Monthly unique users, visits, and maybe the most important elements, number of calls that we produce to our customers. I didn't mention, but 50% of our customers, they have a tracking call system, so we can monitor. Almost 80% growth in the number of calls that we produce every month to our customers. And we have done the same logic in our verticals. We believe that this combination of advanced technology tools and content, this is the secret of the formula. And by the way, most of the content is global, because purchase criteria are global. The names of the businesses are very local, but the purchase criteria are all over the world. So, this success led us to the conclusion at the end of 2012 to shut the activity of the print. And this year, 2013, this is the first year for us that there are no any printed directories, at least from our company in Israel. And this year we are fully online and digital and mobile, of course, company. So, and you can see the trend of the revenue, that, thank God, our digital revenue compensated the decline of the print. So, the question is, I have enough time to speak, so I can speak about what are the challenges.
Please.
So, we are not satisfied. We want to be better. So, now, these days, we plan on the next 2 or 3 years. As you can see, we are still in the original, traditional area, the relationship between buyers and sellers. The traditional, I'm sure that in Kelsey conference 25 years ago, there was the same relationship. Yes, we are there. We believe that we should be there. In the past, the Yellow Pages company were very strong in the search. But at least in Israel, the search was occupied by Google. And we believe that this is a fact. And so, as I said, in the last 2 or 3 years, we developed tools in order to be relevant in the search and then in the choose. Now, the challenge is to be relevant in the need and in the pursuit. The need, by using big data technology, we believe that we can personalize the consumer and offer them specific offers, specific coupons, etc. But we believe that the purchase, the action, are more concrete and more relevant. And we actually, in the last year, we launched several services that are working, are operating in this field. It's not a plan, we started to implement it during the last year. So I'm going to show you some examples. Hundreds of restaurants in Israel are using our online delivery system. A lot of the consumer in Israel use our site, use the online delivery system, and they can order a takeaway. I think last month more than 100,000 dishes were sent via this system. We developed a booking software to the restaurant. This is maybe the heart of the restaurant. This is the most important software to the restaurant. And the reason why we found ourselves developing in such a service, because it's allowed us to offer the consumer to order a table like Open Table, if you know, and to get a real response to the reservation. Again, hundreds of restaurants are using our software in Israel during the last year. The next one is the same concept among doctors and lawyers and garage. In this case, we're using Visita software. It's an startup, it's an Israeli startup. Again, it's an online calendar, and the consumer can make an appointment with the lawyer, for example, and even the lawyer can charge him via this service. The next one is paper action. We launched some months ago a pilot in the Yellow Pages site. Based on no problem technology, we give the SMBs the possibility to choose how much is going to pay us for the next call. Now, of course, if you are a mover and in 2 days your trucks, they don't have any work, you can pay, I don't know, you are willing to pay $20 a call, I don't know, $10 a call. So if you are higher, you got more calls and you got to work. If you are full with work, you are going to the minimum. There is a minimum price per call, and of course you get less calls, etc. We launched this pilot some months ago, and the results are amazing. For example, the productivity of the sales force doubled itself. It's much easier to sell paper action than flat fee, as we used to sell. The next stage is to take adding, complete adding, and to transfer it to the paper action. And calls, it's only one example of action. To navigate in your mobile, it's another action. And of course, there are a lot of other examples that we can use. The next examples, again, we started it some months ago. One of the challenges in the e-commerce stage is how to convince physical, traditional shops to be online. So this software allows the moms and pop shop easily to become an e-commerce shop, managing one inventory in one system, the physical and the online, and the next, of course, step is to be by the, just a moment, I forget the word, screened by the Zap engine, and then being online. Regarding the SMB, this was regarding the consumer. Regarding the SMB, we believe that we can offer the SMB a lot of relevant services. As it was, I think Paul mentioned it when we spoke about retention. We would like to offer the SMB more and more services. We believe that it strengthens the stickiness between the SMB and us. Although I must say that it's a little bit tricky. From our experience, if the customer is not satisfied in one of the services, even if the other elements of the bundle is very satisfied, some of them, at least in Israel, are quite emotional. So they can't believe that. Yeah. So you can find a very angry and customer, although you show him that the ROI is great, etc., etc. But one of the services is not good enough, we are in a problem. So coming back to the idea, we started to offer the SMBs several services. First of all, online presence. Today, as it was mentioned in the previous presentations, a website, internet website is not enough. We have to be in the web, in the mobile, in the Facebook, in the tablet, and we offer them based on mobile technology. We offer them one platform, very easy building this online presence, and one panel that they can update the content and manage the leads. And of course, we are partners with Google. We sell them SEO, SEM, and Facebook campaign, and of course our media campaign as well. And as it was mentioned in the other presentation, we offer them specific sites fit to the niche. For example, to a beauty salon is not the same template as for printed house, of course. So what are our next growth engine? First of all, as I said before, being involved more and more in the transaction itself. We believe that to be only a media company is dangerous. We would like to be involved in the transaction itself. We are going to take the Zap comparison site and to use the strong position that we have in this field and be a local eBay. We're going to use the strong position of our Yellow Pages site and the verticals and to be relevant in actions, as I mentioned before, and mobile payments. And regarding the SMBs, as I said before, we would like to be the biggest digital agency for them and offering them a lot of back office services, as I mentioned before, to strengthen the stickiness among us and the SMBs. And the fourth one for us is to do it globally. We believe that all of us are facing the same challenges. We believe that our technology, know-how, and experience can save a lot of time and money, and we can work together. 3 months ago, 2 months ago actually, we signed with our friends from Trudon. We signed an agreement to launch together a price comparison site in South Africa. Its brand is Compare, and we are partners, and they're supposed to be operating in 2 or 3 months. So we believe that we can duplicate such services and activities with you guys. So if I would like to summarize my presentation. So regarding the consumer, we used to sell them printed, or to offer them a printed directories. And then we took the flat index to the internet. And then we moved to do what we call the verticalization. The next step was the zapization, the extra tools, and the last, and I'm sure it's not least, the transaction, as I mentioned before. For the SMBs, we used to sell them print ads, and then websites, and then, as I said before, full online presence, and the next step, moving from a flat fee to pay-per performance and transaction. And about the organization itself, we used to be a sales-oriented organization, but today I believe that our organization stands on 3 legs: sales, digital marketing, SEO, SEM, Facebook, etc., and technology. Technology is very, very important. So I believe that using the right direction and cooperate with each other, we can be relevant, even if we play in a yard with global and strong players. We can be relevant, although we used to be a traditional Yellow Pages companies. Thank you.
You have some time for some questions?
I have a lot of time.
Here, let's,
We have to leave at 7, so
yes, we have quite a while. Let's see, is there another mic somewhere? Here, Tabo.
Yes, Nir, when you rebranded, why did you leave the fingers logo on your name?
We, first of all, you know, Israel is a Jewish state. You know, and Jews believe in legacy and the long history. So the fingers are part of our legacy. Therefore, the green, the yellow is the first. So we believe that we don't say, hey, we are a totally new company.
Here, hold it close. Hold the mic.
Okay.
What? I cut you. Peter. Or Philippe.
Well, thank you, Wes. Thank you. For your oops.
Nir, the fingers are upside.
Hello. Okay.
The fingers are the other way around.
Thank you. It's really interesting your presentation. I am completely surprised about your zapization with the database which is needed for this selection criteria. I mean, how can you do it? Because you go through such a product, say, every SMB has to tell you the products, the prices, and everything. You have to have a huge database and a lot of time and consuming it.
First of all, we don't have the specific price for each SMB. We publish a range of prices in each service. Now, yes, we collect a lot of data, but we were quite surprised. We started it manually by a group of like Telcel girls who called the businesses. It was surprising the easy way and the efficiency, because the SMBs were willing to cooperate. So it was much cheaper than we thought it would be. And of course, today we give the SMBs possibility to update the data online, and of course in each touch with the sales, with the support, etc., they can update the information.
I have a quick question. You can choose one of the three words to describe your company. Technology company, sales company, or marketing company.
Three of them.
No, you only get to choose one. You can't be all three. Choose one. Well, I mean, I ask it seriously because
We are consumer, digital consumer company. If I have to identify my company.
Peter in the back. What?
Hello? Yeah, I'm interested to compare your profit and loss statement for the year 2012 compared with 2013. I know 2013 hasn't finished, but you obviously have some thoughts on that. In 2012, you had in your revenue line some revenue from print, and in your expenses, you had paper, print, distribution. In 2013, you have no revenue from print, and no paper, no print, and distribution. What sort of bottom line or margin difference are you expecting between the 2 years?
I must admit that I was very worried regarding this question.
The
Because
question or the answer?
first of all, the question. When I should decide this decision the end of last year, because when we checked the bottom line of the print itself, it was profitable. Direct cost, of course. So regarding the total revenue, if I compare this year to last year, there is a decline. But regarding the revenue, it's bigger. It's not huge difference, but the trend is positive.
What about the margin, the profit?
I think that this will be the question of next year because
Go ahead.
because we spend a lot of efforts to send the best sales reps in order to take the money from the print directories to the new, because we didn't want to leave our small competitors to collect all
So
the
you
money.
took all the money off the table before your competitors could get it.
That's what we try to do.
Sounds good.
So I think next year will be the first real exam for us.
So,
But yeah, sorry, just
Yeah,
to
go ahead.
complete it, but what are you anticipating? I know it hasn't happened yet, and it's...
what do you anticipate?
What are you anticipating to be the margin impact?
Bigger. I don't know. We are working on it, so to plan next year. So I don't want to say a number, but I'm sure that it will be higher than last year.
Terry?
Hi, so I just have one question really, and that is, how do you evaluate the effect of brand on this entire activity? It's kind of a two-part question because
You said you only had one question.
Good part.
I have a two-part question. Go ahead.
it's a two-part question. Well, European Directories has a bunch of operating companies, some which have decent brands, but others which have very damaged brands, negative brand image. I was just wondering if Zapization could function for a brand like that, and in that case, what would you have to do?
First of all, in all the cases that we believe that the brand is positive, used to be positive, we actually made a combination. For example, REST used to be a strong brand. So today the official brand of REST is Zap REST. And I don't think that it takes a lot of, this is not the final solution. The final solution should be different. I don't know, Zap restaurants. But we found that at least for the short period, the combination is Zap something. When we see the difference, there is a lot of SMBs that when they hear we are from Golden Pages or Yellow Pages, no, thank you, it's not relevant. But if they hear we are from Zap Group, oh, very interesting. So, but on the other end, there are especially traditional SMBs, if you say Zap, you say, what? What is that? Said, Zap golden pages. Why didn't you say golden pages? So there is segmentation among the customers, but by the way, Israel is a young country like Asia. By the way, we are part of Asia, so I think that this is the answer.
Question out there? Yeah. Your microphone.
Hi, I just wanted to know, is there, well, it's probably depending on your market, is there a reason why when you verticalize, there is so many brands linked into what Carrie was asking as such? Because I see that most of what you offer, the services, where I grew up or where I live, in London, New York, is supplied by somebody like Time Out London or Time Out New York, yeah? So why did you separate all of it, all these services into different functions and different sites, rather when you could compile them all into one? Is there a reason? I mean, because I don't know the Israeli market.
First of all, there is Time Out Tel Aviv as well. But Time Out Tel Aviv, for example, as I'm familiar with Time Out New York, is mainly a content site with several services.
You could also book on Time Out.
Yeah, no. By the way, all the services regarding restaurants are under the Zap Rest brand. They are under the umbrella of Zap Rest is one brand. And because some of them was different sites, let's say because SEO elements, we decided to duplicate it as Zap as a REST delivery and Zap REST, and so you can find, for example, delivery. You can find it under the Yellow Pages site. You can find it under REST, and you can find it under REST deliveries. So you are I think if there are more and more sites in the results, it's the chance that the consumer will choose you is higher.
I have a question. How much of your revenue today is paid for on a performance basis versus a subscription basis? And where do you see that, if it's not already 100% today performance, when do you see it being 100? Do you ever see it being 100% performance?
Today, I think that, let's say 15 or 20% are performance and 80% are flat fee. Of course, especially when you speak about online, and especially when the tracking system, there is a connection, not direct connection, but there is a connection between the number of calls or performance and the fees that the SMB willing to pay. But I believe that in 3 years, it will be, I don't know, maybe
80-20?
I don't know if it will be 80-20, but I think 60 performance and 40, because I believe that there are a lot of SMBs will prefer they don't like risks, and they prefer to pay a flat fee, I believe.
Last question, Paul Plant.
Well, it's more of a comment than a question, but to the lady's point on the verticalization of brands, I think one of the ways you have to answer that is it depends on the route you took towards verticalization. Whether you're trying to verticalize an existing brand or whether you've gone that route through acquisition of small players in the market. I mean, if you look at the French example, they've gone through that route through acquisition. So they have 17 pretty strong brands, each in their own vertical, but they've gone that route through acquisition. Whereas if you look at some other publishers, they've tried to just split their own brand into different verticals. So I think the answer to your question is it much depends on what route you take.
By the way, we believe that the new Golden Pages site is actually aggregation of hundreds of small verticals.
Books, that's all a book is today. A book is just a bunch of verticals stapled together, and if it was easy to deliver them one at a time, you would have done that. But it's not easy to. Thank you, Nir, very much. Greg, you want to get up here? We'll do some closing remarks and let everybody go get to the bus on time. I think that's on. You still awake?
Partly. Well, I thought this last presentation was very good and also kind of tied into Paul's earlier presentation about organizational transformation. Also, your earlier discussion about
Media versus...
the suite of products and getting into the transactions. I mean, it was really a very concrete example of that, so I thought that was very interesting. Obliquely, the issue of partnering or building it in-house was addressed, sort of, arose. And then one of the things that we haven't really talked about at great length today, but is a very interesting question, is about the value of the brand and how you manage the brand going forward.
How do you transition it?
Yeah.
Because as some customers say, oh, golden pages? Oh, I don't want to talk to you. Some people say, oh, golden pages, door opener. So I think, all these companies are in that brand transformation transition phase. And you probably have to carry an old brand like Zap as part, and golden. I guess some reps have golden pages on your cards. Is that true? Or no golden pages, wiped out?
Zap Group.
Zap Group, everything.
I'm reminded of the first car I had when I was 17 years old, which was a Datsun. And they transitioned that brand into Nissan. Over time. And I remember in the United States at least, they had both brands on those cars for at least 2 or 3 years until they went to Nissan.
How many of you are changing your brand to be different? One? What are you changing it to? YP. Not getting away from YP. So from Yellow Pages to YP? Yeah, I think brand has always been a stickling piece because it's hard to move away from it, and yet you have to somehow transition the brand to be a bit more relevant to the next generation of users and business owners. And that's a tough transition.
Unless you want to make some specific comments, what I'd like to do is just invite other people to reflect on what they thought was interesting or things that they didn't hear but would like to have heard today, things that they'd like to see discussed further tomorrow.
People are
Tired?
good day? Yeah, good day. Oscar, good day? Good.
One of the questions I had about your presentation was about really how realistic. Israel is a place where there's a lot of technology and a lot of technology development. How realistic is it really for people? This goes back to the partner.
How transportable is that?
How realistic is it for publishers to think about being technology companies? That doesn't seem like something that can be aspired to by many other publishers.
I tried to peg him on whether or not he's a technology company, a marketing company, or a sales company.
I think
Technology.
You're obviously not a technology company.
okay. I think that speaking about Google or Facebook, there are huge companies. They have one huge R&D center, one brand. We are separate all over the world and try to develop, each one of us, his own technology. I think...
So a failing proposition.
I think that we should share efforts. There is no reason why each of us will spend a lot of money in technology and developing. This is the reason why Trudon and ourselves working together in the Zap comparison, in the price comparison side. So I think yes, and the question of time to market, I think, is crucial.
Yeah.
And we working together, and you can work with us, you can work with others. I think working together, it's the best answer to the next challenges.
Let's close it on that point, because I think that's something for people to think about as we go into the day tomorrow. That doing it on, the Yellow Page industry has traditionally wanted to do everything on their own. And I think Nir makes a good point that it's really time to transition that thinking as well. So with that, 7 o'clock, Down at the bus, you gonna get a nap in? 6:59?
6:58.5.
You better get to bed, because you need a nap, I think. So thank you all very much, we'll see you tomorrow morning.